"Mom's about to die, just sign it so you stop being such a hassle." Anna screamed it as she slapped a stack of papers onto the table in front of me. In that instant, I, Margaret, a 68-year-old mother, felt my heart crack. Her words kept ricocheting through my head like a blade twisting straight into my chest. I couldn't believe that the daughter I once cradled, the child I pinched pennies to raise, could open her mouth and say something so cruel. My hands shaking, I picked up the papers. They weren't just a few simple forms. Hiding inside was something darker, a scheme stitched together with lies, greed, and naked betrayal. Could it be that all the love I poured into my child, all those years of sacrifice, hadn't left even a shred of humanity in her? The question squeezed my heart, but it also lit a spark. I knew that behind this fear lay a truth far more terrifying. Stay with me, because what comes next won't let you sit still. My name is Margaret.
I'm 68, a widow who has lived almost her entire life for her daughter. People like to say, a woman can remarry, but a mother never abandons her child. I believed that, and I gave everything I had to Anna, my one and only girl. My husband died young, when Anna had just turned 6. From that day on, I was both mother and father. By day, I cleaned classrooms at an elementary school. At night, I washed dishes on the sly at a little diner. The pay was meager, but I did everything I could so my child wouldn't fall behind her friends. Anna was such a sweet kid. She had big round blue eyes, and the moment I came home, she would sprint to the door and wrap herself around my legs. "Mom, did you bring me an apple pie today?" "I did. I saved a little money and bought you one. My good girl." That smile alone erased every ache in my bones. In the evenings, I'd sit and mend her old dresses, while Anna toddled around me, humming nonsense songs. In my heart, she was the reason I could endure every hardship. I still remember her 10th birthday. I skipped breakfast for 2 weeks to buy her the red dress she'd wanted forever. When she put it on, Anna spun in front of the mirror and squealed, "I look like a princess, Mom!" I stood there silently, proud and a little teary-eyed. Back then, I was sure that one day she'd understand and love me twice as much for it. But fate has its cruel jokes. Those sweet memories turned into little luxuries from another life, pieces that no longer fit the cold present. I don't know exactly when Anna changed. Maybe it was when she left for college and got used to the comforts her friends had, comforts her mother couldn't possibly provide. My innocent, lovable girl began to harden, practical, calculating. And today, when she tossed those papers in my face, I finally understood. All my sacrifices might have been buried for good. I remember the day Anna left home for the city to start college. I folded each of her shirts into a small suitcase and tucked in a few tins of cookies I'd baked myself. I pressed a thin envelope of money into her hand, almost nothing in the grand scheme of things, but it was everything I'd saved after months of going without. "Study hard. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine," I said with a smile, though my fingers trembled. Anna hugged me and nodded, eyes shining. At the time, I thought every sacrifice was worth it, but a year later, Anna had changed. She started asking for more, the newest phone, money for a private apartment instead of the dorms. Every time I said, "I can't afford it," she'd go quiet, but there was a cold flash in her eyes I didn't want to believe I'd seen. One evening, while I was mending a shirt, Anna called, "Mom, all my friends have new laptops. I can't show up with this ancient thing." "Figure something out, I'm embarrassed." I sat there for a long moment and finally whispered, "I'll find a way." So I picked up another cleaning job at a restaurant. That night, I cried not from exhaustion, but from realizing I was slowly trading away my health to keep up with her demands. Years passed. Anna graduated with a shiny diploma, and half my hair turned white. I waited for the day she'd come home and say, "Mom, "Thank you." It never came. Instead, she drifted farther away. She had wealthy friends, a successful boyfriend, and somehow I, the worn-out mother, was just a smudge in that glamorous life. Sometimes she came home, not to talk, but to complain. "Mom, this house is so outdated. Why don't you sell it and move into a new condo? Why keep this place like it's a museum?" I forced a smile. "This is the house your father left us. I want to keep it." Anna frowned, openly annoyed. I felt the distance between us stretching wider and wider. I told myself it was just a phase, the recklessness of youth, but little by little I had to admit, my daughter wasn't the Anna she used to be. And today, when she coldly shoved a property transfer packet across the table, I finally understood. Those warm memories were just fragments of the past. In the present, I had to face an awful truth: my daughter had been swallowed whole by ambition. On March 12, 2023, Anna showed up with a thick, glossy-bound home renovation plan. She set it on the chipped enamel kitchen table and spoke in a flat, businesslike tone. "Sign here so I'm listed as a co-owner. The bank will approve the loan more easily. We'll fix up the house and sell it for a good price. At your age, cash is better anyway." I opened the folder. It wasn't any renovation plan. It was a full power of attorney and a pre-filled transfer agreement. House No. 27.5, 82 square meters, estimated at $4.8 billion. A tiny yellow tab marked "Sign Here" sat where my signature should go. My fingers trembled. "You're transferring the title to you?" Anna shrugged. "Just temporarily, to deal with the bank. You're almost 70. It's a hassle under your name. Just sign and be done." That night I pulled a plastic envelope labeled "House Papers" from the cupboard, photographed every page, and sent the pictures to my neighbor, Mrs. Hahn, who used to work at a notary office. She called me back almost immediately. "Margaret, this isn't co-ownership. It's a full power of attorney plus a transfer. Once you sign, the girl can sell the house without asking you a thing." I sat there in silence, listening to the clock tick. My heart hammered like someone who'd just run through a hailstorm. A week later, Anna took me to a doctor's appointment. In the waiting room, she lounged back in her chair, scrolling her phone, then dropped a line like a knife. "Be realistic, Mom. At your age, one stroke and it's over. Let me tidy up the assets now." I pressed my lips together and slipped the calcium test results into my bag. The doctor had said my blood pressure was a bit high, but stable. Anna told the relatives the doctor had warned us to prepare ourselves. On April 3rd, the bank called me. A polite male voice said, "Mrs. Margaret, regarding the $1.2 billion loan in Anna's name, with House No. 27.5 as collateral. We need to confirm your notary appointment." I went cold. Who had used my house as collateral? I hung up and called Anna. She picked up right away. "Oh my God, you're panicking again. It's just paperwork. Keep quiet and let me handle it." That evening I mustered my courage, turned on my old computer, and typed slowly, key by key. I searched full power of attorney sample and risks of real estate power of attorney. Story after story popped up: elderly parents tricked into signing, losing everything. The more I read, the colder my hands got. I started keeping notes: dates, times, names, call details, amounts. I asked Mrs. Hahn to come over for tea the next morning. "The girl's building a procedural trap," she said, flipping through the packet. She pointed to a faint stamp in the corner. "Look, they've booked the notarization for April 8th. If you put your pen down, all they need are the buyer's signatures and it's done." "The buyer?" My voice caught. "There's a blank space for them. I'm guessing they'll fill it in later. You need to hold the deed, keep the house papers with you, and refuse every appointment." On April 6th, I told Anna in the kitchen, straight out, "I'm not signing." She snorted, put her phone on speaker, and played a recording of someone claiming to be from the bank. "If the lady doesn't sign, the loan can't be disbursed. You know how it is with the elderly. High medical risk." Best to arrange things in advance. She hung up, leaned into my face, and hissed, "You're not thinking about me at all, are you?" "I'm thinking about the house your father left us." "My father's dead," Anna snarled. "And you will be, soon." The words felt like a slap, but after the numbness came a flash of clarity. Evidence. I started saving everything: bank call logs, screenshots of Anna's messages, the notary appointment I'd stumbled across in an email she'd forgotten to sign out of. I asked the delivery kid to install a cheap doorbell camera. "In case of burglars," I lied. But really, I wanted a record of how Anna behaved when strangers came to talk. On April 8th, right on schedule, a man in a gray suit arrived, calling himself an investment broker. The camera caught him sliding a thin envelope across the table. "Just get your mom to sign. Your bonus is as agreed." From the kitchen doorway where I was hiding, I heard Anna murmur, "Don't worry." That night, I didn't sleep. I took a new notebook and wrote the word counterattack in big letters across the first page. Then I made a list. Call legal aid. Ask about full power of attorney. Email the bank. Refuse any transaction involving house. No, 27-5. Print every text, appointment, and bill. Copy the doorbell video onto a USB drive. Before I closed the notebook, I added one last line. A mother's heart can be weak, but her mind is not. They can knock you down with cruelty. You get back up with the truth. The next morning, April 9th, when Anna showed up, I laid a neat, thick folder in front of her, something she didn't expect. Evidence. I looked her straight in the eyes, for the first time in years, and my voice didn't shake. From today on, nothing is going to be quick, just because you want it to be. I thought that once I pushed back, Anna would calm down. But no, she switched to a new tactic: deception. On April 15th, I received a thick envelope from the post office. Inside was a debt payment notice in my name, Margaret H., for a loan of $80 million. My hands shook. I had never taken out such a loan. When I called the hotline, the operator insisted, "The paperwork is signed, complete with your ID and signature, ma'am." I asked them to send me a copy. When it arrived, I nearly dropped it. The signature looked just like mine, but I've always curved the tail of the G in my name. On this one, it was straight. Such a tiny detail, but enough to tell me Anna had forged it. That night, I confronted her. "You used my name to take out a loan?" She gave me a look of disdain. "Mom, it was just a short-term loan. Don't worry. Once we sell the house, it'll be paid off in one go." "That's fraud, Anna." "Fraud? Please. Life's about seizing opportunities." I choked back tears. Those weren't the words of the little girl who once spun in a red dress, giggling like a princess. This was someone else entirely, someone who saw me only as a tool to legitimize her ambitions. On April 20th, a stranger came to the house. He introduced himself as Anna's friend, a co-investor. He handed me a folder, asking me to sign a confirmation of agreement. I pretended to be confused. "Oh dear, my eyes are bad. I'll let my daughter read it for me." Meanwhile, I secretly turned on my phone recorder. The man smirked and whispered, "Mrs. Margaret, if you don't sign, people will think you're standing in your daughter's way. A mother fighting her own child? That's shameful for the whole family." I bit my lip, my heart pounding. The moment he left, I saved the recording and sent it to the free legal aid lawyer Mrs. Han had introduced. After listening, the lawyer frowned. "This is a clear case of signature forgery and elder exploitation. You must be careful. From now on, record every important conversation." I obeyed. Whenever Anna came into the house with her sharp tongue, I slipped my phone into my pocket and hit record. I captured every word. "Don't you get it, Mom? You're just a burden. If you don't sign, you're only making my life harder. And one day you'll collapse, and this house will be mine anyway. Why not make it easier now?" I saved it all. Every line. Every insult. On April 28th, Anna took things a step further this time in front of relatives. At a family memorial dinner, she stood in the middle of the room, her voice wavering dramatically. "My mom's weak these days. She forgets things all the time. I'm so worried. I just want to arrange her assets so she'll be taken care of. But she keeps resisting. Maybe she's no longer fully in her right mind." All eyes turned to me. My throat closed. I remember very clearly," I whispered. But some nodded at Anna's words, convinced. I felt utterly alone even among family. That night, I clutched my counterattack notebook and added 3 more entries. Find witnesses who've seen or heard Anna pressuring me. Copy the forged loan documents. Record every insult to prove psychological abuse. I was no longer just a fragile mother. I was becoming the key witness of my own life. And I knew, the more lies Anna spun, the closer the truth came to being exposed. By May, Anna had practically moved back into my house. She wandered around as if she owned the place, opening drawers, rummaging through cupboards. I reminded her more than once, "Anna, this is still my home. Don't make yourself too comfortable." She laughed coldly. "Stop fooling yourself. This house will be mine sooner or later." That was when the emotional abuse escalated. In the mornings, as soon as I opened my eyes, she would yell from the kitchen, "Mom, you left a pile of dirty dishes here." "Useless old woman." At lunch, if I dropped a pair of chopsticks, she'd slam the table. "Why are you so clumsy? You embarrass me in front of guests." Once, I was peeling an apple and the knife slipped, nicking my finger. Blood welled up. Panicked, I searched for bandages. Anna glanced over, lifted her phone, and snapped a selfie. "See? All you do is cause trouble. Because you won't sign the house over, I have to waste time taking care of you. What a waste." I stayed silent, but the doorbell camera captured it all. On May 12th, Mrs. Hahn happened to overhear while walking past. Anna's voice rang out through the gate. "You eat so slowly, you living longer is nothing but a burden." Mrs. Hahn stopped in her tracks. "Anna, how can you speak to your mother that way?" Anna forced a laugh. "Oh, I was just joking." But we both knew no one could mistake that kind of venom. Later, Mrs. Hahn whispered to me, "I heard everything. If you need a witness, I'll stand by you." The breaking point came on May 20th. Anna brought her boyfriend home for dinner. In the middle of the meal, she sneered and pointed at me. "Look at her, living in the past, old-fashioned, clueless. If it weren't for me planning ahead, she'd let this house rot." I couldn't speak. Her boyfriend gave a strained smile, but I caught the look of discomfort in his eyes. That one sentence cut the last thread, tying me to my daughter. That night, I sat alone in my room, replaying the doorbell footage of her insults until my eyes blurred with tears. Then I picked up my notebook and added, "Have a neighbor as witness. Have clear audio and video evidence. Prepare to go public. I had endured enough. If Anna wanted to humiliate me in front of others, then I wouldn't stay silent anymore." A strange determination rose inside me. It was time for the truth to be heard, not just scribbled in my notebook, but spoken out loud before everyone. On June 2nd, Anna walked into the living room carrying a bright red folder. She slammed it down on the table and announced in a clipped voice, "Mom, I've booked the notary for the 5th. One signature and it's done. After that, you'll still live here. Nothing will change." I glanced at the contract. It was already filled out as a sales agreement. The space for buyer was blank. A chill ran down my spine. "I've told you, I'm not signing." Anna smacked the table, her voice shrill. "Stop being so stubborn. You've lived long enough. Sell the house, get the cash, I still have debts to pay. Or do you want to see me homeless?" For 3 days straight, Anna tried every trick. In the mornings, she left bank debt letters on the dining table. At noon, she made loud phone calls. "Don't worry, I'll get the signature this weekend. My mom doesn't have a choice." On the night of June 4th, I heard whispers in the backyard. I turned on the doorbell camera. There was Anna meeting with a strange man. She held out her hand and accepted a thick envelope. His voice carried through the mic. "Here's the deposit. On the 5th, make sure you drag your mom to the notary. If not, it's on you." Anna nodded, slipped the envelope into her purse. Shaking, I copied the footage onto a USB drive and hid it inside my sewing kit. Then I wrote one more line in my notebook. Proof of bribery secured. On June 5th, Anna put on a businesslike dress and tugged me toward the door. "Come on, Mom. The car's waiting. It's just one signature." I gripped my fabric tote, stuffed with the USB, photocopies, and my notebook. I stopped at the doorway and whispered, "I'll go with you, but not to the notary." Her eyes narrowed. "What do you mean?" "I've already sent all the evidence to the lawyer and the bank. Tomorrow you'll see what happens." She froze, then screamed, "You betrayed me. You've pushed me into a corner." For the first time in years, I stared right back, steady and firm. "No, you betrayed me long ago." That afternoon, the lawyer called. "Mrs. Margaret, we filed a formal complaint for forgery and fraud. The bank has confirmed all transactions involving your house are now suspended. You can rest easy." I collapsed into a chair, sobbing. All the fear, all the sleepless nights, I finally had a way out. But the relief didn't last. Another fear crept in. Anna wouldn't stop. She'd fight back, spin lies, drag the whole family into it. I knew the real battle was only just beginning. On June 10th, during her grandfather's memorial, the extended family gathered at the ancestral house. The long table was covered with a white cloth, incense smoke curling around the chatter. I sat quietly at the corner, knowing full well Anna wouldn't waste the chance. And sure enough, midway through the meal, she tapped her spoon against a glass. "Everyone, I have something to say." The room quieted. Cousins set down their chopsticks. Anna took a deep breath, her voice trembling just enough to sound convincing. "My mom's health has been failing. She forgets things often. I'm worried sick. All I want is to arrange her assets so she'll be cared for. But she refuses to cooperate." The table buzzed. An uncle frowned. "Margaret, why be so stubborn? At your age, you should let Anna handle things." Another chimed in. "Why cling to that old house? Sell it, have money, have comfort." Their eyes all turned on me, accusing me of being selfish. My throat tightened. Anna's cruel words echoed in my head. "You're just a burden." Sensing the momentum, Anna pulled the red folder from her bag. "Here's the transfer contract. Just one signature from Mom. The bank will disperse and everything will be settled. Please, all of you, persuade her." Her tone was sweet, but I caught the cold gleam in her eyes. I stood, clutching my water glass, and said evenly, "Thank you all for your concern, but today, here before our ancestors and this family, I have something to say too." I pulled a thick envelope from my bag. Inside were copies of the forged loan papers and a lawyer's analysis pointing out the discrepancies in the signatures. My hands shook, but my voice was steady. "These are documents Anna used to take out loans in my name. This is not my signature, and here is a recording of a bank employee confirming the loan was under my name." Murmurs rippled through the room. My eldest brother-in-law peered at the papers. "Well, this signature does look different." Anna's face went pale, though she forced a smile. "Mom, you're overthinking. It's just minor paperwork." I locked eyes with her. "Minor paperwork? Then what about this video?" I handed a USB stick to my nephew, who plugged it into a laptop. On the screen, the doorbell footage played, Anna accepting an envelope from a strange man. His voice filled the quiet room. "Here's the deposit. On the 5th, make sure you bring your mom to the notary." No one spoke. Anna's face drained of color. I took a deep breath. I've endured enough humiliation. With our ancestors as witness, I will not let anyone steal this house through dirty tricks." The room erupted. Relatives who'd once defended Anna turned away, ashamed. The eldest uncle slammed the table. "Anna, you've gone too far. Cheat anyone you want, but your own mother?" Anna tried to protest, but the chorus of whispers and condemning stares pinned her in place. Her cheeks flushed, then turned chalky. She stammered, then suddenly straightened, slipping into another act. "Please, everyone," she said, tears glistening. "I only wanted what's best for Mom. I accepted the deposit because I was afraid she'd change her mind. I thought if the deal was halfway done, she couldn't back out. I just wanted her to have a better life." She dabbed at her eyes, trying to paint herself as the helpless child of a stubborn mother. Some relatives wavered, whispering, "Well, that makes some sense. Maybe Anna really does care for her." But I tightened my grip on the table. I knew how well Anna played her roles. This time I was ready. I raised my voice. "Mrs. Hahn, could you come in for a moment?" The doors creaked open. My longtime neighbor stepped in, holding an old phone. She looked around the table and declared, "I want to testify." I heard Anna shouting at her mother, pressuring her to sign, and I recorded it. She hit play. Anna's voice blared out, sharp and undeniable. "One day you'll collapse, and this house will be mine. Why not make it easier now?" The room fell silent. Anna's sweet excuse shattered. I turned to her. "That's what you call taking care of your mother?" Anna lunged and snatched the phone, screaming, "Lies! This old woman's siding with my mom!" But a younger cousin immediately spoke up. "I heard it too. Anna shouted at Aunt Margaret in the alley. She said, 'Sign it, you useless old hag.' Everyone heard it." That accusation was the final blow. Anger boiled around the table. The eldest uncle slammed the table again. "Enough, Anna. No one believes you anymore. Our ancestors are watching. You've committed a grave sin against your own mother." Tears stung my eyes, but my voice was firm. "Anna, I've stayed silent for too long. Today, in front of this family, I say it clearly. I will not sign. I will protect this house to the end." Anna trembled violently. She clutched the folder, then hurled it to the floor. "Fine! If you want war, you'll regret it." Papers scattered across the tiles. No one bent to help. They only stared at her, cold and disappointed. In that moment I knew. This battle was no longer between mother and daughter. It had become a stain on the whole family. And because Anna had cornered herself, she would only grow more desperate. Anna stood frozen in the ancestral hall, her face flushed crimson, her eyes blazing. Papers lay scattered across the floor, still smelling of fresh ink. The air was heavy, the only sound the wind whistling through the cracks of the wooden door. Then suddenly, Anna collapsed to her knees in front of the altar. She began to sob, pounding her forehead against the floor. "Ancestors, please witness! I only wanted what's best for my mother. I was drowning in debt. I was scared I couldn't provide for her. That's why I did it." Her tears streaked her mascara. Some relatives stirred, soft-hearted, moving to help her up. But the eldest uncle raised a stern hand. "Crying won't erase the truth. You forged signatures. You took deposit money. That's not just a mistake against your mother, it's a crime." Anna lifted her tear-streaked face and wailed, "Mom, forgive me just this once. If you give the evidence to the lawyer, I'll lose everything." For a moment, my heart clenched. There she was, still my daughter, the little girl who once clung to me, laughing in a red dress. But just as quickly, the images came flooding back, her taking envelopes of cash, calling me a useless old hag, scheming to strip me of my home. I wiped my tears and steadied my voice. "Anna, I might forgive you, but the law will not. You must face the consequences of what you've done." The hall erupted. Anna screamed, pointing at me. "You're the traitor! You've never cared about me. All you've ever cared about is this rotten house. You love it more than you love me." Her voice rang out harsh and wild. Relatives muttered, shaking their heads. A few grabbed her arms to stop her from lunging at me. My chest throbbed, but I stood firm, my hand pressed against my heart. I pulled one more envelope from my bag. Inside was a letter from the bank. All transactions involving property at 275 are suspended due to suspected fraud. I placed it on the altar. This is the final proof. The house is safe. Anna, you have no way out. Heavy sighs filled the room. Mrs. Hahn came to my side, squeezed my shoulder, and whispered, "You did the right thing. Don't be afraid anymore." Anna thrashed, shouting through tears, "You'll all regret this. I won't give up." She broke free, stormed out of the ancestral hall, leaving chaos and silence behind. The heavy wooden doors slammed shut, incense smoke swirling. No one dared to speak. I sank onto a chair, buried my face in my hands, and cried not from fear, but from the hollow ache of losing yet another piece of my heart. Still, I knew this much. I was no longer alone. I had spoken the truth before my family, before our ancestors. And the path ahead, the path of the law, had already opened. After that memorial, I thought the storm might quiet, but it was only the beginning. 2 days later, I received a letter from a law office. Inside, they confirmed they had accepted my case complete with forged contracts, audio recordings, video evidence, and witness statements. My hands trembled as I held the stack of papers. This is the first time in my life I've had to turn to the law to protect myself. On June 15th, I went to the lawyer's office with Mrs. Hahn. A young attorney named Huang Tall, lean, glasses perched on his nose, flipped through my files, nodding. "Mrs. Margaret, your case is a textbook example of elder abuse and signature forgery. This is no longer just a family dispute. This is a matter of law." The words "a matter of law" made my heart seize. Never had I imagined that my own daughter would one day be named in such a way. Huang continued, "We'll immediately file a request for the court to freeze the property. That way Anna can't sell or mortgage the house. At the same time, we'll petition for a full investigation into the illegal loans taken in your name." I swallowed hard. "But if I take my daughter to court, she'll be blacklisted, her reputation ruined." Before I could falter, Mrs. Hahn cut in firmly. "Margaret, how much longer will you let her torment you? If you don't act, you'll live in fear forever. She needs to pay for what she's done." I closed my eyes and signed the papers. Tears fell as my pen scratched across the page. But this time, they weren't tears of weakness, they were tears of resolve. 3 days later, the bank contacted me. "We confirm that property 275 has been frozen. It can no longer be used as collateral until this case is resolved." I clutched the letter, breathing a sigh of relief. But the calm didn't last. That very afternoon, Anna stormed into my house, flung her purse onto the table, and shouted, "What did you do? The bank canceled my loan. Do you want me dead?" I forced my voice to stay level. "I didn't do anything. The law did." Anna sneered, eyes burning with hatred. "You think you've won? I'll countersue. I'll tell them you're senile, incompetent, then you'll be the one who loses." A chill crawled through me. My own daughter was ready to use the law itself against me. But this time, I wasn't alone. I had a lawyer. I had evidence. I had witnesses. And most of all, I had faith that I was standing on the side of truth. That night, I lit incense at my husband's altar. "My love, I may have to drag our daughter into court, but if I don't, I'll lose everything. Please give me strength." The flames flickered, lighting my wrinkled face with quiet determination. I knew the coming legal battle would be brutal, but I was ready. And sure enough, just a week later, Attorney Huang called, his voice grave. "Mrs. Margaret, Anna's side has filed a counterclaim. They're alleging you suffer memory loss and lack legal capacity. In other words, They want to prove you're incompetent to manage your own property. I felt my blood turn cold. My own daughter willing to brand me senile just to justify her crimes. On June 24th, we attended the preliminary mediation at court. Anna arrived in a sleek black dress, her makeup flawless, her demeanor polished. Beside her was a middle-aged lawyer radiating confidence. As soon as we sat down, Anna's lawyer stood and declared, "Your Honor, my client believes Mrs. Margaret, at age 68, shows signs of memory loss. Several relatives confirm she forgets things often. We request a psychiatric evaluation and suspension of her accusations." The courtroom buzzed. I saw a flash of triumph in Anna's eyes. She even glanced my way, smirking. "Better accept it, Mom," she mouthed. "Otherwise you'll dig your own grave." My hands clenched. My heart raced. But before I could speak, Attorney Huang rose, voice clear and firm. "Your Honor, here is our evidence." He placed a USB drive on the table. This recording contains Anna verbally abusing her mother, coercing her to sign documents. Additionally, here is a doctor's note confirming Mrs. Margaret suffers only from mild hypertension. She is fully lucid. He pressed play. Anna's voice filled the room. "One day you'll collapse, and this house will be mine. Why not make it easier now?" Gasps echoed. The judge banged his gavel, demanding order. Anna turned pale. Her lawyer scrambled. This could be edited." But Huang was ready. He held up a stamped certificate. "This audio has been authenticated by forensic experts. No tampering. Furthermore, we have a neighbor, Mrs. Han, ready to testify in court." I lifted my chin and locked eyes with Anna. For the first time during the hearing, she looked away. The judge scribbled notes, then spoke curtly. "The request for psychiatric evaluation will be reviewed. However, based on preliminary evidence, we accept the motion to freeze the property in the plaintiff's favor." Relief flooded me. Anna bit her lips so hard it bled. Her hands shook with rage. When the session ended, she cornered me in the hallway, hissing, "Don't think you've won. I'll flip the whole thing. I'll make the world believe you're insane." I stared into those icy eyes, my daughter's eyes, and my heart ached, but my voice was steady. "Anna, the truth can't be twisted forever. I'd rather lose everything than let you keep lying." She spun on her heels, high heels clattering down the corridor. Each strike echoed like a warning. The real storm was still coming. On July 5th, the next session convened. The courtroom gleamed, the air so tense it buzzed. I sat in the plaintiff's seat, heart racing, clutching my counterattack notebook filled with dates and evidence. Attorney Huang rose, eyes sharp as steel. "Your Honor, today we present proof of fraudulent financial dealings linked to the defendant, Anna." He set a thick file on the table. Pages detailed every loan, every transfer. According to bank records, Anna used Margaret's identity to borrow a total of $1.2 billion within 6 months. The money was withdrawn the same day and funneled mostly into Anna's personal account or into an account under the name Tran Van Hao, whose relationship remains unproven. The courtroom gasped. I sat stunned. My daughter hadn't just taken one loan, she had turned my name into her personal shield for a chain of dark transactions. Anna shot up, shouting, "That's not true! That was money friends asked me to hold!" Huang stayed calm. "If that were the case, then how do you explain this text message?" He held up a printout, verified by the telecom company. "Don't worry, my mom's about to sign. Once the house sells, I'll pay it all back." The judge scanned the page. Anna's phone number glared from the top. Her face went chalk white. Her lawyer sputtered, "This could be fabricated." Huang cut him off, presenting the stamped verification. "This is original data from the provider. It cannot be forged." The judge nodded, gavel tapping. "Order." Silence weighed heavy. My heart pounded in my ears. Everyone's eyes turned to Anna. Then a bank employee stepped up as a witness. He spoke with quiet certainty. During one of the loan signings, the woman presented as Margaret was not the plaintiff. She was much younger. Anna introduced her as my aunt, but the papers carried Margaret's name. A wave of murmurs swept the courtroom. My body trembled. My daughter had even hired someone to impersonate me. Unable to bear it, I stood and cried out, "Anna, why? Why would you make me bear debts that aren't mine?" Anna stayed silent, her hands shaking, nails digging into her palms. Huang closed firmly. "Your Honor, this is not just a family dispute. This is financial fraud. We request a criminal investigation." The judge struck the gavel. "The evidence is noted. The case will be referred for criminal inquiry. All related assets remain frozen." I slumped back, tears streaming not from grief, but from knowing. For the first time, Anna was cornered by her own crimes. She shrieked as we left the chamber. "You'll pay for this, Mom! I'll make the world believe you're insane!" But this time, her words didn't shake me. I saw it in everyone's eyes. Nobody believed her anymore. After that court session, the counterattack came not from me, but from public opinion. At first, I thought our ordeal would stay within the four walls of the courtroom. But whispers spread fast. Neighbors, then the whole neighborhood, began murmuring. "They say Margaret's daughter forged her signature to sell the house. Can you imagine? Betraying your own mother for money?" The gossip ran quicker than wildfire. One morning, while I was sweeping the yard, Lon, the woman who ran the corner shop, hurried over. "Margaret, did you see? Someone posted the footage from your doorbell camera on the neighborhood Facebook group. People are furious." I dropped my broom. The delivery boy who'd installed the camera must have shared it. The clip of Anna taking an envelope spread like a storm. Hundreds of comments appeared. "Unbelievable, selling out your own mother." "Heartless. This girl needs to face the law. She's not just unfilial, she's a criminal." That evening, Anna stormed into the house, her phone clutched in a shaking hand. "Mom! You leaked that video, didn't you? You're humiliating me." I looked her straight in the eyes. "I didn't." "But if the truth came out, that's not my fault. That's yours." She slammed her phone on the table, screaming, "You've turned me into a joke for the whole world." Days later, reporters from a local paper came knocking. "Mrs. Margaret, may we interview you? Your case highlights elder abuse and property exploitation." At first I refused. I never wanted our private pain paraded in public, but Attorney Huang advised me. "Speak out. Public opinion can be your shield. It will stop Anna from pressuring you further." So I agreed. The story appeared with the headline, "68-year-old mother pressured by daughter to sign away house. A fight for justice begins." A photo accompanied it. Me sitting in front of the old house, eyes weary but unyielding. The internet exploded with comments. "My heart breaks for her. At her age, she deserves peace, not torment. That daughter should be prosecuted. Stay strong, ma'am. We're rooting for you." Reading them, tears rolled down my cheeks. For the first time in months, I didn't feel so alone. Strangers, people who didn't know me at all, were standing beside me. Meanwhile, Anna unraveled. Neighbors whispered that in cafes she would scream, "My mom is making this up. She's senile. The media's lying." But the more she lashed out, the more contempt she drew. Public opinion painted her as the embodiment of unfilial greed, a cautionary tale. And I realized this battle in the court of public opinion was only just beginning. Within days, the article spread beyond our town. Larger news sites picked it up. Then, a local TV station sent a crew to film. They asked me to recount everything on camera. Sitting in my worn living room, I clasped my hands, voice trembling yet resolute. All I want is to keep the house my husband left behind. It raised my daughter and holds our memories. But now she treats me like a burden, pressuring me to sign it away. I have no choice but to seek protection from the law. When the broadcast aired, the response was overwhelming. Comments poured in. "Stay strong, Grandma. You're an inspiration." This is why we say raising children doesn't guarantee they'll raise you back. She deserves justice. Some strangers even knocked on my gate, slipping small bills into my hands. "Take it, ma'am. A little help for justice," I cried, shaking my head, but they left it anyway. Anna's rage hit a fever pitch. She spammed social media with long rants. "My mother's senile. Don't believe the lies in the press." But each post only fueled the backlash. Comments rained down. "You only expose yourself more. No decent child speaks that way." Then, a journalist tracked down a bank employee who had witnessed the fraudulent signing. Anonymously, he confirmed, the woman signing wasn't Margaret. She was someone younger, introduced as her aunt. But the documents bore Margaret's name. The revelation blew up online. Headlines screamed, "New evidence. Daughter used imposter to forge mother's loan." Anna lost control. She showed up at my house, screaming at the gate. "You've ruined me. Everyone points and whispers. I can't show my face." I locked the doors, silent. From across the street, Mrs. Hahn shouted back, "Stop it, Anna. The truth is out. The more you scream, the worse you look." Neighbors gathered, shaking their heads. "She's hopeless." I watched from inside, torn between sorrow and relief. At last, the tide of public opinion was protecting me. The story spread nationwide. Major newspapers and even a national TV channel covered it. They called me the resilient mother. My case became a hot topic on talk shows. On one program, the host asked, "Mrs. Margaret, at 68, where do you find the courage to face your own daughter in court?" I held back tears and answered, slowly but firmly, "Because I don't want any other mother to endure what I have. Property can be lost, but dignity cannot. I must stand up for myself and for all elders exploited by their own children." The studio audience rose to their feet in applause. Online, the clip went viral. People shared it with captions like, "An old woman's heart of steel." Meanwhile, Anna became a walking scandal. Everywhere she went, whispers followed. "There's the girl who tried to steal her mom's house. She looks classy, but she's rotten inside." Her friends drifted away. At her job, management bowed to public pressure and suspended her pending investigation. The final blow came when another clip leaked this time, of her shouting outside my gate, "Mom, you're just a burden. Living longer is useless." The video racked up millions of views. Hashtags like #unfilial daughter trended. Comments were merciless. "This isn't a daughter. This is a devil in disguise. If it were me, I'd have disowned her long ago." Anna shut down all her social media accounts. But it was too late. Her reputation had collapsed beyond repair. For me, the flood of support was overwhelming. Letters, calls, and messages arrived from strangers, other elders sharing their own pain, young people promising to treat their parents better after reading my story. I sat in my small house, clutching the pile of letters, crying and smiling at the same time. One afternoon, when a reporter asked me what I wanted most, I answered, "I only want justice, and I hope no mother ever again hears the words, 'You're about to die, just sign,' from her own child." Those words were quoted everywhere. And I knew then the battle of public opinion was over. The tide had turned fully in my favor. Anna might still thrash, but her image was shattered forever. On August 20th, the official trial began. The air outside was sweltering, but my chest burned hotter. I wore a simple black dye, clutching my counterattack notebook like a talisman. Beside me, Mrs. Hahn rested a steadying hand on my shoulder. "Stay calm, Margaret. The truth will win." The courtroom was packed. Relatives, neighbors, even reporters jostled for seats. Everyone wanted to witness the case that had shaken our community for months. Anna entered. She wore an elegant white dress, her face carefully painted, but her eyes were ringed with sleepless shadows. She held her head high, but her hands trembled. The judge struck his gavel. "This is the trial of forgery, financial fraud, and property dispute between the plaintiff, Mrs. Margaret, and the defendant, Anna. Proceedings begin. Attorney Huang rose. Your Honor, we have irrefutable evidence that Anna repeatedly forged her mother's signature to obtain loans totaling 1.2 billion thou. She also attempted to coerce her into signing a transfer contract for House 275. These acts are both illegal and immoral. On the screen behind him, he played the doorbell videos, displayed bank records, and printed text messages. Each piece of evidence sent a ripple through the courtroom. I sat clutching my chest, torn between sorrow and relief. Anna's lawyer tried to counter. My client acted out of desperation due to debt. Furthermore, Mrs. Margaret is elderly and forgetful. It's possible she signed without remembering. I stood, voice trembling but clear. I remember everything every day, every word. I never signed those papers. I've documented each phone call, each time Anna pressured me, every insult. I am not senile. I am her mother, and I know exactly what has happened. I placed my notebook on the evidence table. The judge leafed through it, nodding. Anna broke in, her voice rising hysterically. Mom is lying. She's siding with the crowd to ruin me. If she really loved me, she'd stay silent. The courtroom buzzed with murmurs. They're her true colors. Unbelievable. The judge pounded his gavel. Defendant will remain silent unless permitted to speak. My eyes blurred with tears as I looked at my daughter. Years of raising her had led us here facing each other as enemies in court, but I knew this was the only way to protect myself. The judge called the first witness. Attorney Huang gestured. We call Mrs. Han, longtime neighbor. She stepped forward, small but resolute. I've heard Anna shouting at her mother, demanding signatures. I once heard her say, living longer only makes you more of a burden. I recorded it. Her phone played Anna's cruel words, crystal clear. The room stirred, heads shaking in disgust. Anna's lawyer objected. The witness is biased, she's close to the plaintiff. But then a bank employee testified. The woman who signed during one loan application was not Mrs. Margaret. She was younger. Anna introduced her as her aunt, but the documents were in Margaret's name. The room erupted. Anna leapt to her feet, screaming, Lies! You're all conspiring against me! The judge thundered with his gavel. One more outburst and you will be removed. Huang then delivered the decisive blow. Your Honor, here is a forensic handwriting analysis from the National Institute. It proves the signatures on the loan documents do not match Margaret's authentic handwriting. This is scientific proof, indisputable. The report, stamped in red, glared under the courtroom lights. The judge examined it carefully, nodding again. Anna's face drained of color. Her hands clawed at the table, nails scraping wood. For a fleeting moment, I wished she would admit guilt, bow her head, and end it. But instead, she laughed bitterly. Bravo, Mom. You dragged the whole world to crush me. Are you happy now? Tears blurred my vision. No, Anna, I'm not happy. But the truth must come out. The judge concluded, voice stern. The court acknowledges clear evidence of fraud. Proceedings will move to closing arguments. I tightened my grip on the notebook. I could feel it. The verdict was drawing near. Justice was close. The day of sentencing, the courtroom was packed to the brim. Relatives, neighbors, even national reporters filled every bench. Flashbulbs popped like tiny explosions. I sat at the plaintiff's table, clutching my counterattack notebook. My heart pounded so loud it felt like a drum. Anna entered. Her face was pale, her lips bloodless, her eyes sunken from sleepless nights. Gone was the proud, polished woman before me, stood someone cornered, stripped of everything but desperation. She glanced at me once, her look a mixture of hate and despair. The judge raised his gavel. After reviewing all evidence, witness testimony, and forensic analysis, this court delivers the following judgment. The room went silent. I held my breath. 1. It is determined that the defendant, Anna, forged her mother's signature to obtain fraudulent loans totaling $1.2 billion. This constitutes criminal fraud and misappropriation. 2. The property transfer contract regarding House No. 275 is void, as the plaintiff never signed. 3. House No. 275 remains the sole legal property of the plaintiff, Margaret. The defendant has no rights to it. 4. The defendant, Anna, is liable for all outstanding debt and will face criminal prosecution under the law. The gavel slammed down. My whole body shook. Tears spilled freely. Months of torment, sleepless nights, fear of losing everything at last. The weight lifted. Justice was mine. The courtroom erupted in noise. Relatives who once doubted me now looked at me with respect. Mrs. Han patted my shoulder. "You did it, Margaret. You won." Anna stood motionless, then suddenly screamed, "No! You all ganged up on me." "This isn't fair!" Security guards moved in as she flailed. She turned to me, tears streaking her face. "Mom, you've killed me! How could you do this to your own daughter?" I looked at her, my tears falling, but my voice calm. "No, Anna. You killed yourself with greed and lies. I only spoke the truth." The words landed like the final blow. Anna collapsed onto a bench, sobbing uncontrollably. No more pride. No more schemes. Just a broken girl, undone by her own betrayal. As the trial ended, reporters swarmed. "Mrs. Margaret, how do you feel about the verdict?" I wiped my tears, speaking slowly. "I'm just an ordinary mother. But I want the world to know children may make mistakes. But betraying the very person who gave you life is something that can never be excused. Property can be divided, but family bonds should never be traded away." Applause rang through the courthouse steps. I lifted my head, and for the first time in years, the sky above felt wide and clear. Justice had sided with me. But deep inside, one wound still bled, the loss of my daughter's soul to greed. That was a scar no verdict could heal. After the verdict, the news spread like wildfire. Headlines splashed across newspapers. "Daughter forges mother's signature. Forces property transfer court. Rules for the mother." Photos of Anna crying in court made the front pages. Once she had been a well-dressed office worker. Now her name was chained forever to greed and betrayal. At her company, management had no choice but to fire her for serious damage to the firm's reputation. Former co-workers shook their heads. "I thought she was so polite," they muttered. "Who knew?" On the streets, people whispered and pointed. "There she is, the girl who tried to steal her mother's house. How can she even walk around with her head up?" Friends blocked her number one by one. Even the boyfriend who once sat in my kitchen vanished without a trace. People said he had cut ties to protect his own image. With no support left, Anna retreated to her rented apartment, but debt collectors kept coming. Banks sent notice after notice. Red-stamped envelopes piled high on her table. One night, neighbors reported hearing her screams, "Why? Why has everyone turned against me?" She smashed dishes, broke furniture. The police came to calm her down. When she begged her old friends for help, their replies were ice cold. "Ask your mother." "Oh, wait, after what you did, do you even dare?" Or worse, silence. Online, her name became a symbol. Articles called her a cautionary tale. When greed destroys family bonds. Comments were merciless. "She's no daughter, she's a monster." Serves her right. Anna couldn't find work. Even supermarkets refused to hire her for part-time jobs, afraid of bad publicity. The proud girl who once strutted into court in red lipstick now shrank into a dingy corner, meals nothing more than stale bread and instant noodles. Neighbors whispered that they sometimes heard her weeping at night, murmuring through the walls, "Mom, why won't you save me? I was wrong." But there was no answer. only silence. Word reached even our distant relatives. Those who once defended Anna now disowned her completely. She disgraced the family. Don't speak her name again. Shunned by society and rejected by family, Anna became a ghost of her former self. Her name no longer meant success, but failure. I heard all of it. My chest ached, but there was no triumph in me, only sorrow. People said the wicked must pay. But for me, a mother, watching my only daughter sink into ruin was like bleeding slowly from the inside. One morning, a neighbor whispered, "Margaret, I heard Anna can't pay rent anymore. They're forcing her out." "She's desperate." My broom slipped from my hands. I knew then, this was only the beginning of her descent. When Anna was evicted from her apartment, she ended up in a shabby boarding house on the outskirts of town. Once she had lived in a modern, comfortable flat she bragged about to friends. Now her new home was a damp, moldy room, barely 15 square meters, its tin roof full of leaks. When it rained, water dripped into little puddles across the floor. On her first day, the landlord warned her coldly, "Rent is due up front. Pay late and I'll lock you out." Anna lowered her head. The arrogance was gone. "Yes, sir, I understand." Her old friends were nowhere to be found. Whenever she called, the line went unanswered. Some even texted bluntly, "Don't contact me. I want nothing to do with you." Online, her name became a punchline. Memes with her face plastered across them, the word unfilial stamped in red. Whenever she stepped outside, she felt the whispers. That's her, the girl who valued money over her own mother. A walking disgrace. She tried applying for jobs. At one small company, the manager glanced at her resume, then frowned. "Sorry, we can't take you. We can't risk the scandal." Anna walked out with her face drained of color. She finally realized her career was gone for good. In the boarding house, her life shrank to instant noodles and stale bread. At night, she stared into the cracked mirror. Her hair was greasy, her face hollowed, her eyes lifeless. She barely recognized herself. One evening, she turned on the old TV and saw me. I was speaking at a community center, telling other elders about standing up for themselves. The audience clapped. The host called me a resilient mother. Anna sat frozen in front of the screen, tears welling up. "Mom is loved by the world, and I'm cursed by everyone." When the program ended, darkness swallowed the room. Outside, crickets sang. Inside, only emptiness pressed down. She began to understand. She had not just lost money and status, she had lost the most precious thing of all, love. She typed a message to me. "Mom, I'm sorry." She hit send. The screen only showed delivered. No read, no reply. Anna curled up on her thin mattress, sobbing like a child. But apologies sent too late cannot erase betrayal. Debts piled higher. Collectors banged on her door, shouting threats. "Pay up, or we'll shame you all over the internet." Anna huddled in the corner, clutching her phone, trembling until dawn. Her name became a case study. Articles called her the price of greed and betrayal. Online comments stabbed like knives. "She's not human." Poetic justice. She tried finding work at a supermarket, but they refused. "We can't risk our brand," they said. The girl who once strutted in high heels now cowered in rags, her meals reduced to scraps. Sometimes neighbors heard her whisper at night, voice cracked with tears. "Mom, I was wrong. Please forgive me." But only silence answered. The months that followed dragged Anna further into ruin. Debt notices piled at her door. Some nights, tattooed men stood outside, pounding on the thin wooden panels. "Anna, pay up or we'll plaster your face all over the internet." She cowered in the corner, clutching her old phone, too afraid to breathe. With nowhere else to turn, she tried calling her former friends, but they either ignored her or snapped. "Go ask your mother." "Oh, that's right, you betrayed her." Others simply hung up the moment they heard her voice. her name became a warning. Social media posts paired her photo with captions like, "Greed and betrayal will destroy you." Comments rained down. She doesn't deserve to be called a daughter. Even heaven won't forgive her. Even low-paying jobs shut their doors. Supermarkets and diners rejected her applications outright. "Too much risk for our image," they said. The girl who once posed in stylish dresses now shrank into a filthy room, dinner nothing but cold bread and cheap noodles. One night she caught my image on TV. I was speaking at an event for seniors, telling my story. The host introduced me as the courageous mother. The crowd applauded. Anna froze, her eyes brimmed with tears. Mom is loved by the world, and I'm hated by everyone. When the program ended, she sat in silence, trembling. She realized she hadn't only lost her career or reputation. She had lost the only thing that mattered, my love. She typed me another message. "Mom, I'm sorry." Then she called. The ringtone echoed, but I didn't answer. Again and again she tried, only to meet silence. She dropped onto the bed, staring into nothing. Mom has truly turned her back on me. Everywhere she went, she saw reminders. A grandmother leading her grandchild across the street made her chest ache. A mother carefully packing food for her child in the market brought tears to her eyes. At night, she scribbled shaky lines in a notebook. If I could go back, I'd never say, "Mom, you're about to die, just sign." I killed her trust. I killed our bond. And now I'm slowly dying of regret. But the pages didn't ease her guilt. By day, she withered under the weight of debt and shame. By night, she drowned in nightmares. She dreamed of me sitting silently at the old house, refusing to look at her. She dreamed of the courtroom, people pointing, guards dragging her away in chains. She'd wake drenched in sweat, clutching the blanket, gasping for air. Sometimes she dreamed she was home again, pen in hand, forcing me to sign. My hands trembled, my eyes filled with hurt. Suddenly, the paper burst into flames. The house collapsed, and she fell screaming into darkness. She woke screaming, the echo of my broken gaze carved into her mind. Her whispers grew desperate. "Mom, just once. Call me your daughter again. I swear I'd live differently." But only the wind whistling through the cracks of her roof answered. One rainy afternoon, Anna sat beneath a dim yellow bulb, clutching a worn piece of paper. Her hand shook as she wrote, "Mom, I know I no longer deserve to call you that. I've become someone I despise. I remember how you sacrificed, how you worked yourself to the bone, how you saved for my red dress when I turned 10, how you stayed up nights to make sure I had enough to eat and study. And how did I repay you? With cruel words, with papers to steal the house, with betrayal. Mom, my regret keeps me awake night after night. If only I could go back, I would just want to hug you once and say, 'I'm sorry.' Please, if you have any mercy left, forgive me, even if you never say it out loud. Your daughter, Anna." She folded the letter, slipped it into an envelope, and scrawled the address of House 275. The next morning, she dropped it into a mailbox with trembling fingers. For a week, she waited. Every ring of her phone made her heart lurch. Every knock at the door made her jump. But no reply came. At night, her nightmares grew harsher. She dreamed of me sitting in the courtroom, eyes filled with sorrow and resolve as I turned away. She dreamed of the old house burning, her hand clutching a half-signed deed. She woke crying, drenched in sweat. One evening, Anna wandered to House 275. The iron gate looked the same, its paint peeling with age. She laid her hand on the latch, trembling. Inside, a warm yellow light glowed, and laughter drifted from the living room, my voice mingling with neighbors or volunteers who often visited. Tears streaked her cheeks. She wanted to run inside, collapse at my feet, beg forgiveness. But the memory of my words in court echoed, "Anna, I may forgive you, but the law will not." Fear froze her. She turned away, her figure hunched as she disappeared down the dark alley. From then on, she withdrew even more. By day, she hid in her shabby room. By night, she wandered the streets, a shadow of herself. Neighbors whispered, "She's a walking corpse now." Inside her mind, my face haunted her constantly. She whispered to herself over and over, "Mom, just once, call me your daughter again. Just once." But there was only silence. One night, after waking from another nightmare, she scrawled in her notebook, "If I don't find forgiveness in this life, then maybe in the next. If I can be your daughter again, I swear I'll never betray you." She shut the notebook, placed it on the table, and buried her face in her hands. Outside, rain pattered on the leaky roof, mixing with her sobs, the cries of someone who had lost everything. Anna understood now. Her mother's silence was the harshest sentence of all, a life sentence, stretching to the very end. US 27-5 still stood, its roof mossy, its walls weathered, but its lights warm every night. No more shouting, no more threats. Only the sound of teacups clinking in the afternoon and the laughter of neighborhood children running through the yard. I began joining volunteer groups in the community. Each week, we visited elderly people who lived alone, some abandoned by their children, some abused like I once was. In their eyes, I saw the same loneliness I had felt. So I gave them what I had once longed for myself: warmth, a gentle hand, a listening ear. One day, as I handed a small gift bag to an 80-year-old woman, she whispered, "Thank you, dear. It's been so long since anyone called me Grandma with kindness." I smiled through tears. I understood then, family isn't only made by blood. It can be built with compassion, respect, and love. Neighbors began calling me the resilient mother. They often stopped by with fruit or flowers, sitting for small chats. My old house no longer felt like a cold shell. It became a place of warmth again. At night, I sometimes sat on the porch with a cup of tea, staring up at the stars. My thoughts drifted to Anna, my daughter, who had lost herself to greed and betrayal. The pain was still there, but I had learned to live with it. I no longer wished for her return, nor did I feed hatred. I only wished that one day she might find peace within her own soul. For me, the greatest victory was not keeping the house, it was keeping myself. I had not been crushed by lies or fear. I had found the strength to stand up. People often asked, "Do you hate Anna?" I shook my head. "No, I grieve. I regret. But hate, no. Hatred only deepens the wound. I choose forgiveness in my heart, but I cannot forget. Forgiveness sets me free." Forgetting is impossible. My message is clear. Real family is not measured by blood, but by respect and love. The ones who bring us peace are the ones truly worthy of the word family. When neighborhood children call me Grandma, my heart softens. Though my own daughter lost her way, I still have the chance to give and to receive love. One autumn morning, I stood on the porch, the golden sun spilling across the old roof. The air was crisp, birds sang. For the first time in years, I felt true peace in my soul. I joined more volunteer work. Some days I cooked at nursing homes, sharing songs with other elders. Some days I went with youth groups to hand out porridge to the homeless. Each smile I received felt like medicine, healing the scars in me. A little neighbor boy often came to water my plants. Once he asked, "Grandma, why do you always help people?" I ruffled his hair and smiled. Because when we share love, we receive peace in return. That's the greatest treasure of all. I realized then my deepest loss was not the house I nearly lost, but the fracture of motherhood. Yet from that loss, I found strength to live a new life, one not dependent on anyone's approval or betrayal. My story closes here, but I believe it will live on as a warning, as a reminder. If you still have your parents, cherish them, because one day you may no longer have the chance. I looked up at the sky, whispering, I have walked through the storm. Now I choose to live the rest of my days in peace and love. And deep inside, I believed that even in her late regret, Anna must have heard me. If this story has moved you or brought you to tears, stay with me, because the next one, I promise, will make your heart shiver even more.